Welcome back to my channel Lumsy Sews. In today's sewing tutorial, I will show you how to cut a simple doorman dress with V-neck and standing collar. If that's what you would like to learn, continue watching till the end. It's very simple and is beginner friendly. Let's start with the tutorial. I'll be using this Adire fabric. What I have here is 5 yards of Adire fabric, but out of it I'm going to cut out 1.5 yards for the dress. I'll be using this side, the plain side, for the details I'm going to make on the dress. I'll set this aside and fold my fabric. This is my fabric folded into 4. As you can see, 1 2 3 4. The folded part is the back, and the one that has sewing allowance is for the front. So first thing I will do is to go ahead and mark a straight line. This line will be my shoulder line, and that's where I will take all my horizontal lines from. From the shoulder, I will go down to the hip line, which is 25.5, and I'm going to mark that here. And then I'm going to mark the length of the dress, which is 42. I'm going to add 2 inches to that. I'll go ahead and square these lines out. This is the only line I need, the length of the hip line and the length of this dress. The next thing I'm going to do now is to get the shoulder width. This is a cut together width. From the center front, I'm going to mark the neck width, which is 3 inches, and then the shoulder divided by 2, which is 8.5 inches. I'll come down from that line 1.5 inches for shoulder sloping. I'll go ahead and square this line to the neckline. I will extend this line down to the I'm using all the 14 inches I folded. So from here, I'm going to get the round armhole I'm using. From here, I'm going to come down 10 inches, and I will square in 2 inches in. So you just square it in like this, and then on the hip line, you're going to divide your hip circumference divided by 4, and you're going to add 1.5 inches for sewing 1.5 inches for ease allowance and 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. I'll come down from that line, and I'm going to make a curve there just to give it a doorman kind of shape, and I connected it down to the hip line. Next, on this line, the sleeve armhole, I'm going to come in 1 inch here and connect it to the shoulder line. So go ahead and connect it like that so that the round armhole will sit properly on the sleeve. Then I'm going to mark the neckline. I'm going to come down 1.5 on the back, and then 4 inches for the width of the neckline. I'll go ahead and connect it like this, and then for the front, I'm going to come down 5 inches and also connect it like this. I'll go ahead and cut all this out.
So many times that I miss you. I know how to call when I want to. Now you got way bigger issues.
For the front, I'm going to come down from the 4 inches. I'll come down again for the slit or v-neck. I later made it a v-neck, so I came down to 11 inches and I notched that place. That's where I want to make my v-neck from. I wanted that place to be a slit, but I later changed my mind and made it a v-neck. So you go ahead and make a v-neck at this point. I'll go ahead and make a notch where I'm going to add the side pocket. I came down 20 inches. You can make it 19 inches if you want to. From this place, I'm going to sew this down to the hemline. I'm going to leave a slit in front and down. And then after sewing it, this is how it's looking. Can you see? But I later changed my mind. I made that a v-neck. Next, I'm going to go ahead and cut the pockets. So I'll just place my hand like this on the fabric. The fabric has been folded into four. I just place my hand on it like this and use the shape of my hand to cut out for the pockets. This pocket I'm using is very small. I'm managing it. If you're making yours, don't make it this small. So I'll just go ahead and cut out this place. After cutting the side pockets, next I'll go ahead to sew the side pockets to the dress. So I've already notched where I'm going to sew the pocket. So this is it after fixing the pocket, as you can see. Next thing I'm going to do now is to place the back panel. So I'm just going to place the back like this, and I'm going to sew the shoulder. Go ahead, I added ½ inch sewing allowance at the shoulder. I'll sew the shoulder, and also the side seam I also added ½ inch. So I'll go ahead and sew the side seam. So this is it after sewing everything. As you can see how it's looking, the next thing I'm going to do now is to hem the lower parts. So I'll go to my ironing table now. I'm going to place hemming gum there, and I'm going to sew that. And for the sleeve, I'm going to add some details. I told you I'm going to use the plain part of the fabric to add details to it. So I'm going to fold. What I have here is 3.75 in width. I'm going to fold it like this. When I get to the end, I'm going to sew it close here and continue attaching it to the sleeve. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Like I said, I later changed my mind and want to make this a v-neck. So from here, I'm going to cut out a v-neck from here. It's going to stop that place where I notched it. So if you're cutting yours, you can cut this before now. So I'll go ahead and fold this in like this and do it the same thing to the other side. So this is it after sewing everything. As you can see, the v-neck, and I've also added the sleeve and also hemmed the lower part. I made a slit in front like I told you. The next thing I'm going to do now is to measure the collar. I'm making a standing collar for this. So I'm going to place this together like this to measure the neckline on fold. After measuring this, I got 8 inches. So I'm going to use this to make the collar. I have my paper like this. I want to make the pattern for the collar first before I cut it on my interfacing. So I'm going to mark a straight line here. This side is going to be on fold. The next thing I'm going to mark is the 8 inches I got from the neckline. And I'm going to fold this into two like this and mark that place. So from the edge of the collar, I'm going to come up like 1.25, and then I'm going to connect this like this from the place that I marked. And then from here, I'm going to measure the length of the collar. I'm using 1.5 inches for the length of the collar, so I'll just go ahead and measure 1.5 inches all around. Because this is a bishop neck, at the top of the collar, I'm going to make a curve here like this. So I'll go ahead and cut this out, and this will be the collar, the pattern I'll be using for the collar. I'm going to place this pattern on my interfacing paper gum stay and cut this out. I used the pattern for the collar and cut out interfacing. As you can see, I didn't add any sewing allowance. I'm going to add that on my fabric. So I'll go ahead and place this, the gummy side, you place it on the fabric like this, and you're going to iron it on your main fabric. After ironing it, this is how it's looking. As you can see, I already folded one side of it, the lower side. So I'll go to my machine now, and I'm going to sew along this place I'm showing you. After sewing it, I'll turn it over. So this is it after sewing it. As you can see, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut this out. Cut out the excess on it, and you're going to notch it so that the collar will relax properly. After notching the sewing allowance, I went ahead and ironed it properly so that it will be very neat. So this is it after ironing it. I'm going to cut away the excess and I'm going to leave 0.25 for sewing allowance. And then I'm going to make a notch to know where the center back is. Also go ahead and make a notch where the back center back on the main fabric is. After doing this, right side facing together, I'm going to place the collar on the neckline like this, and I'm going to sew it. I'll turn it over like this and do a stitch in the ditch. After sewing it, this is how neat is looking. You can see the inside and outside are looking very neat. So make sure you use a stitch in the ditch method. It helps and it makes your sewing very neat. So this is it after I was done sewing everything. As you can see how everything is relaxed properly. If you have watched this video till this time, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.